And I think we're live. Are we live? Do you see
Yes,
live?
yes, yes.
Oh, okay. I was like, do I see it before you? That
No,
that never happens.
we're live within 5 seconds. I'm like, wait, where's it? Oh, yes, we're live. Excellent, excellent,
Yes.
excellent.
Well,
Oh,
welcome everybody to another Facebook Live. It's, when we don't do one, it seems like we haven't been here forever. So I'm
no, I
like,
know.
where were we? What did we last talk about?
You know what? Last week we didn't do it because we had the storm, remember? And they had threatened that we were going to have, it came up, through, I guess, more towards the east side of Florida and came all the way up and hit through Atlanta. And when they threatened that we were going to have a power outage, I just knew that it was going to impact me. So that's why I canceled it. And yes, I didn't have power for probably about 18 hours. So
Wow.
I didn't have power, so I had to cancel the session for last week. And it would have been a good one. It was with Sean Harding of Biotrans, but we are going to have him coming back. And what's that date on that? Do you remember, Greta? It's
Yes.
right before Christmas, I remember. I think it's the 21st, potentially.
Actually, he'll be back Friday, December the 20th. So we did
20th.
reschedule him for
Excellent.
later in the year.
Yeah, so I know whenever we miss a day, it's like a week goes by and we're kind of a little bit off and everything, but we're back and we're excited and we're here with another great session. So take it away, Greta.
No, I mean, you got to. This is usually when you introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. I always forget. Okay, you know what? We actually forgot to do that one time too. I'm like, hey, I didn't even introduce myself. But okay, yes. I am Dr. Nelva Bryant. I'm a veterinarian, and I work in the airline industry. I work with Delta Airlines, where I was brought on to help review and revise policies for animal transportation. I really enjoy that role. It gave me a great insight into the animal transportation industry, and transportation by air with animals. So we have been doing these Facebook Lives are we almost at 3 years now? It's coming up, right?
We are. Our anniversary is this month.
Excellent. Yep. This was a brainchild. Actually, this was more Greta's thought and idea than mine. And it's evolved because we thought we were going to just be talking about, pet travel and focus on that. But it's grown to so many different aspects. And I always say it's different stakeholders in the animal transportation industry that are involved. So before we get going any further, though, please, I introduce myself. Introduce yourself, Greta, please.
I'm Greta Russo, and I am Dr. Bryant's co-pilot in this journey of When Pets Fly, and we are just going on this journey, learning about, I believe we are learning as we're going along, because you know your area, but when we bring people on, I love how we learn even more that is in this industry, but it's not quite your area. So I've been enjoying the ride, and as you mentioned, on the 22nd, it's our 3rd anniversary of doing Facebook Lives, and it's just been a great, exciting path to follow and meet all of these great individuals.
Definitely.
So,
definitely.
Luckily, I'm actually very excited because today we're bringing back one of our original guests, Derrick Garrett from Zoundz Music for Pets. And I'm excited to catch up with him, to hear how the company's going. I'm not sure how old his company is, but I think it's about the same age as When Pets Fly. So I'm excited just to find out where they are and where they've been in these past few years.
Oh yeah, it's going to be good. Derrick he and I go way back, and we definitely have connected, doing whatever I can to assist him in everything he's doing. And he kind of same thing with us, whatever we can do to kind of expand and grow our brands together. That's what we've been doing these past few years. What he touches on is something that people don't really consider too much as far as relaxing pets and how music can impact that with animals. So I'll let him explain more of how he's progressed over these past few years. But before we get there, is there anything else you wanted to discuss before we get started with him, or what are any current things that are going on?
Well, I guess the only thing I want to bring up, and it might be over for a lot of people now, but there's like September is like, I believe, Emergency Pet Preparedness Month. And we talk, stringently about you got to be prepared for natural disasters because they can come anywhere in the world. And just for where we are, being right next to Florida, we get some semblance of something from whatever hurricanes come through. And this last one, Helene, I read it's the second most devastating hurricane, second to Katrina, because of all the deaths. Yes, and it was a strange hurricane because it didn't come up the coast. It came on or the outside coast of Florida. It came up on the inside, and then that made it go right up the middle of Georgia, and then it kind of left and went through the bottom tail end of South Carolina, or no, North Carolina. It missed South Carolina. It hit North Carolina, where Asheville is, dumped on them, and then went up into Tennessee. So it took a strange path. I say all that to say it's all the way in Tennessee, all the way in North, like on the far, far west side of North Carolina, and it's right up the middle of Georgia, nowhere near an ocean, but it's dumping water that is unbelievable, putting buildings underneath water. I mean, and it's like, the power of nature you can never underestimate. And that's why every person that is in charge of an animal's life should always be prepared for the natural disasters in their area. Make a plan, make a kit, practice with the animals, and even the zoos do this, and the aquariums do this. So pet parents should do it as well. Shelters and rescues should do this, because when that time comes, I saw a video with people who were, luckily they didn't abandon their animals, but they were floating on top of a door with their dog or with their cat, or holding onto the door and put their cat and dogs on top, and they were waiting to be rescued. And it was like, I was just thinking, you should have had a plan. So
yeah, and I'm sorry, I definitely, I have a problem with east and west. I don't know why, but yeah, it was on the west side of Florida where it came up and turned around. I know there's parts, we were lucky. I mean, honestly, where we are, we're lucky. Power outage is minor. I heard, I have a coworker that works in that lives in Augusta, and they said it's devastated over there. And I'm like, oh, wow, I did not even realize it was that bad, and everything. But yes, as far as with your animals preparing, I know American Humane has been activated to go out and help rescue a lot of the animals with their organization, and probably a lot of other humane societies as well, just rescuing people and their animals in this process. But it makes you wonder, I mean, did they have enough warning? I think they probably did have enough warning, but no one anticipated the outcome. So as you're saying, being prepared probably is the first thing folks need to do first. Just be prepared.
Yeah. And there was a lot of deaths. Like, we're second to Katrina as to how many people died with this hurricane. So, it's just unfortunate. And I definitely implore everybody that, even for themselves, if you're going to stay in these areas that are prone to natural disasters, you've got to be ready, just so that you can get out of the way. So, but at least we are back, and I think Derrick told me before that my internet was a little wonky, so I'm hoping as we go along it'll straighten up for us, because I definitely am excited to speak with Derrick, and explore where he's been for these past couple years.
Definitely. That's what, bring them on in.
Let's see. Bring them in. Okay, no more waiting. Let's bring Derrick in. Let's push the button.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
friend.
Derrick.
Hello there.
How are you?
How are you all? I was listening to you as I was backstage in the green room. I was listening to you guys talk about the hurricane. It was really devastating.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you were able to acknowledge that, Greta. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
It didn't make it to your way up in New York, though, right? You guys, New York fared well with it.
Yeah, well, we're in Connecticut, but we didn't. Thank God, we didn't get hit. But remember, we had a really bad flooding to take place. I guess it was like maybe a month and a half ago. That was really devastating. I mean, we didn't have loss of life, thank God, but it definitely was devastating in terms of roadways being buckled. It was just really bad, really bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
but
Derrick, let me.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Let me read your bio, and then we can get this officially started.
Okay.
So, Derrick Garrett is the founder and CEO of Zoundz Therapeutic Sounds for Pets, a revolutionary app that uses sound therapy backed by science to reduce anxiety and enhance the well-being of dogs and cats. With his extensive background in sound engineering, Derrick has developed a solution that supports pets through a variety of stressors, helping them maintain calm and balance in their everyday lives. Everyone, please help me welcome Derrick Garrett from Zoundz.
We didn't have that.
You've never had the sound machine before.
No, we're moving on up.
We're trying.
We're high tech now.
We've come a long ways, you remember? Because I used to have a little button.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a good opportunity. I actually would like to take this time to really commend both Greta and you, Dr. Bryant, on where you've brought this show to, and just not just the show, but your brand. I mean, I think I was fortunate enough to be, I think maybe not the first person on your Facebook Live, but I was definitely within that, I guess probably first 3 to 6 months window. And I gotta tell you, I've been following you and obviously supporting, and I really want to commend you guys. Have done an awesome job with where you're taking When Pets Fly. Going back to Dr. Bryant, when you and I first started to speak during COVID, right? And this was your vision, and now just to see it flourish is amazing.
Yep. Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. And same thing with you. I have noticed you've kind of grown significantly as well, because I remember you connected with Beth Chouette and all the different things with the ARC, and definitely. So we need an update on everything you're doing, Derrick, because I know you've done some great things this past good. Well, let's see, we haven't spoken in a good year. So please get us up to date, please, and tell everybody what you do.
You and I have spoken personally, though, within a year.
Yeah, we've spoken.
Right.
We kind of, well, you know what? We fell off on our schedule because we were trying to do on a schedule, kind of communicating, and it slid off. Nothing personal, and I know it's not personal on my side, and I know it's not personal on your side. We've just been busy and everything. So, but yeah, I'm excited to hear new stuff. What you doing? What's going on lately?
So,
well, first. Wait a minute. Tell us about yourself and Zoundz, because we've got a lot of people that actually watch, especially in the replays. So they got to know who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Derrick Garrett. I'm the founder, CEO of Zoundz. And Zoundz was actually born out of a conversation that I was having with a veterinarian friend / neighbor. And he was sharing how it's becoming more and more difficult to examine both dogs and cats in a veterinarian hospital environment. And as he was talking about it, my wheels started to spin because of my background in audio engineering and as a record producer. Also my entrepreneurial spirit, my love for pets. I grew up, with no shortage of pets, from raccoons to the cattle. But at any rate, when he started to speak about this, it really sparked my interest. And so that conversation is what actually sparked my interest to say, okay, let me see if there's any sort of studies or research that's been conducted to show how music is actually impacting cats and dogs. And sure enough, I found 4 peer-reviewed studies that showed how there's specific parameters in the song, such as chord progression, tempo, the key that the song is written in, the overall instrumentation. If you bring these elements together, it could have a common effect on both dogs and cats. However, what's effective for common cats is total opposite for dogs. So, and that's no surprise there, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's and I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like more and more animals these days have anxiety just in general life. And I think your music is such a great alternative to drugs to help relax them. It's a natural way, something enjoyable. And how many times have you seen videos when people are just playing music and animals come around or they sit there and watch? So, when I first met you, I knew you were onto something, and that's why I love your product. And as I mentioned, and service is so great for animals these days. So tell us about Zoundz. What is it, and how does it affect animals?
So Zoundz. So what we did was once we conducted. We worked with some shelters. We started, well, first I put together a team of composers to actually compose the music based on the studies. And then while the conversation and the idea started in the veterinarian hospital environment, I thought what better place to test this than in a shelter environment, because that's where you're going to find your most stressed dogs and cats. So that's where we started, is testing in the shelter environment. And then the next step was, well, how are we going to deliver this for pet professionals and consumers to be able to easily access this product and this music to be able to play for the pets. And so, creating an app was a no-brainer. So Zoundz is a I like to call it a pet wellness app. Let's spill some more. But anyway, it's an application that has scientifically backed music within the app, and it's broken down for different scenarios. One of the channels is called Home Alone, that you would play when you leave your dog or your cat home while you're away at work or just away shopping or whatever you may be doing. There's another channel called Environmental Sounds. And this is actually where we've evolved to. So Environmental Sounds is a suite of various sounds, such as blenders in your home, wash machines in your home, vacuum cleaners. These are all sounds that trigger anxiety. A lot of people don't realize that they're triggering anxiety for their dogs and their cats. So the whole purpose of our environmental sounds is for you to be able to play these sounds, especially for pups, to be able to play it for them, get them used to that sound. So by the time they start to hear this sound in real environments and situations, it's not going to impact them in such a negative way. It may not completely eliminate the anxiety, but it'll definitely reduce the anxiety. Now, when it's an adult dog or cat, especially dogs, it is recommended that you get the advice from a veterinarian or animal behaviorist to guide you through the process of using the environmental sounds. Another channel that we have that believe it or not is actually getting a lot of engagement is joint meditation. So it's a channel where it's guided meditation for the pet and the pet parent. And
wow.
we created that channel through some conversations that we were having, and we wasn't sure how it was going to do, but I have to tell you, the engagement that we're seeing on that channel is amazing. Like, people are really using it. So it's really awesome.
That's really good. It makes
so is that
excuse me one second. The one thing that's kind of interesting, and I think you could potentially expand on, that potentially could help during air travel, is what about maybe some of the sounds that they might encounter on the aircraft, just little things there. Sounds of when they go into, say, in a warehouse setting, you might hear a, just machinery.
Machinery, right.
You might potentially hear, and my mind is skipping the name of the machine. Like, say if it's a forklift, machinery, stuff like that, so they can get accustomed to that's what that sounds like, and they're not startled when they hear it. So there's potentially ways that you could probably help with air travel as far as getting prepared of what they're going to encounter. through those environmental sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we have an exterior sound bite of the airport noise of airplanes taking off and landing. So we have that in there. But I like your idea of creating the actuals and making the sounds available that they would potentially hear when they're in the actual aircraft. So that's what you're saying. Yeah,
I like or just even that environment, just in that environment out there. Have you, by the way, have you met Gretchen yet? Gretchen Becker?
I feel like
I think she's. I spoke briefly to Brett. Well, we communicated through LinkedIn. She said she wanted to meet you because I said this is going to be a great session because her platform as well is related to music as well, and in a sense, getting them acclimated to these different sounds they might encounter.
Yeah, I feel like Gretchen and I have. I feel like I don't know if we met, but I feel like we've communicated.
Yeah,
I do.
Well, we need to make sure that happens because I think you guys have a lot to share in reference to that.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
He actually has recordings that start with the pet's journey from home, all within the car, getting out the car, going through the airport, going into, I guess, wherever they go in the back end. And then getting into cargo and then also getting into cabin. And that would help you so much. I don't know why, I don't remember why she was putting it together. But, you know, to expose animals to that prior will help lessen the anxiety, just like with your environmental noises. You can even add it right in there. But I think if you made your own tab of travel noises, and that could include even when they travel in cars.
I love it.
And look, cars,
going
trains,
to the
sound of a train, maybe or something like that too. So multiple things could be.
Yeah, you know, and we're actually having a conversation with a trainer from American Kennel Club, and she wants us to include the sounds of the dogs when they're doing the what's the train? I'm drawing a blank. Can't believe I can't think of it. When
Agility?
Agility, yes. Okay. And so the dogs who are waiting, it's a very loud noise for the dog that's actually performing and participating. Oh. But the dogs become anxious who are waiting because of the loud sounds and all that stuff. So we are having a conversation about adding that actual sound to our environmental sounds channel. So yeah, so that's where so you want to know what we've been working on. So that's we're kind of, and if I don't know if you've noticed or not, but we actually rebranded our name. So we're not Zoundz. It's Zoundz Therapeutic Sounds for Pet Anxiety.
Okay.
Because and what happens, you know, because a lot of times people say, well, I play classical music. I play, you know, what's the difference? Well, it's a huge difference because for one, there are specific parameters. And for, you know, the myth is, oh, you play classical is going to relax them. But there's so many subgenres of classical music that could actually create anxiety as opposed to reducing the anxiety. Mm-hmm. And what I tell people when they ask, well, what's the difference between me playing, you know, Spotify or playing your Zoundz app? Well, for one, all of our music is created specifically based on these studies. And then all of our music is also tested in shelter environments. So it's not hit or miss. Like one song is working, then the next song is going to completely undo what was just done, right? It's consistent. So that's the big difference. But people definitely always like, oh, I play classical. That's going to be, you know, that works. But some will and some will not. Depends.
Look, it may work for the person, but it may not work for your dog or your cat. And as you're saying, Zoundz is scientifically based upon what works best for them, those different animals. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And you know, I think where they're confusing it is you are not, Zoundz is not recorded records. You are taking sounds and putting them together to create, let's say, a record for a cat or a dog. And I think that's the difference that person is missing. Right. You're not just throwing rock on the radio.
Correct. Our music is not licensed music. It's music that's actually, again, being created by, you know, professional composers, you know, team of composers that's based on these studies. And I see you have up there, what does therapy help calm, or how does music therapy help calm dogs and cats? I would say, without getting too far into the weeds, a big factor is instrumentation. So for instance, dogs, just like when you hear like a siren or any high pitched noises, what do? They howl, they get anxious, they get, really their anxiety go through the ceiling because those loud noises are actually hurting their ears because their hearing is so keen. And then so you wouldn't want to have like high registered pitched instrumentation to calm a dog. Cats, however, for whatever reason, is totally opposite. They're calm and they gravitate to actually higher frequencies. So that's why we always advise, if there's a cat and a dog in a professional environment or in a home for the consumer, we advise to play the dog channels, not the cat channels, because the cat channels will actually have an adverse effect on the dogs and actually raise their.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and I'm assuming all these instructions come along with the app, and so that they don't get the two mixed up and wonder why their dog is bouncing off walls.
Yeah, you have to it's definitely, you have to make a concerted effort to play the cat channel or the dog channel. It's not, two mixed in together.
Well, what situations are best for using music therapy with pets?
Well, we've already touched on one, in terms of sound conditioning, right? That's what our environmental channels or channel is used for. And then, it's also about, bonding. And that's why we have the joint meditation channel. And we have another channel that we added called Possum Stories, because what we find, especially when pets are left home alone, they actually are calm and they find it soothing to hear the human voice as well as the common sounds of Zoundz. So even though it's not their pet parent's voice, but it's still common for them to hear some sort of human voice. So that's why we created the Possum Stories channel, which is actually getting a lot of engagement as well. And then another go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is the voice reading a book, or are you just talking to the dog as if you were there?
No, it's an actual dog or cat, depending on which species which channel you're on. And it's an actual story being read by, a human. And then we have Zoundz playing as a music bed underneath. So they're still getting the common sounds of Zoundz, but they're also, again, making that connection with the human voice as well.
Nice. Very nice. Well, I know when they have different programs where they have kids reading to dogs, and where it started out to have the kids practice and the dogs are calming the kids. They also found that it had a calming effect on the dogs, having these kids, read to them. So you definitely are on to something there.
Yeah, and then one, believe it or not, well, I shouldn't say believe it or not, because it's a huge issue. Our hands down top performing channel is our Scary Sounds channel. So our Scary Sounds channel, that's a channel where we have white noise happening to mask whatever sound that's happening that's triggering the anxiety. And then we also have it, mixed together with Zoundz. So it's calming and masking at the same time. So during July 4th, forget about it. I mean, that's like the engagement is through the ceiling. So that is a channel that you use. It's not the channel that you use for conditioning. It's the channel that you use during the actual event. So so for instance, during Halloween, when people are ringing your doorbells and all that traffic is happening at your front door, you may want to have like Scary Sounds playing and have your dog or your cat in their safe space and have that set up properly for them to reduce the anxiety during that, again, all of the traffic and just action that's happening during Halloween. So that's a very popular channel.
Wow.
Wow. You have significantly, I mean, goodness, you've done a lot.
We're working. We're not sitting still.
Excellent. That's great to know. Great offerings. And actually, I definitely highly recommend everyone taking a look at tell us a little bit more. Tell us, let's see, music best. My question's not on here, but just tell us, okay, since you're talking about your site right now, feel free to share the how to get access to it as well in the middle, so we don't have to wait since you're talking about it now. So
yeah, sure.
free,
So, and one other thing I'll talk about also, as we want to share that we've since we last spoke, that we've worked on and we've evolved to. So you have to listen to the users, right? And so there's a lot of conversation about, well, if I want to take my phone, not everyone, you can't leave your phone. So we now have the ability. You still will sign up for Zoundz on the in the App Store, either Google or the Apple Store. But once you sign up on the app in the App Store, you can now play Zoundz from any URL. So you can play it from your desktop computer, or wherever you have internet connection and a URL capability, you can play Zoundz now.
Excellent.
That's great.
Yeah. Wow.
So anywhere there's Wi-Fi, you can play Zoundz.
Well, anyway, not just Wi-Fi, but like if you have a URL, so it could be on a your desktop computer, your laptop, your iPad, wherever, as long as you have URL with an internet connectivity, you can use Zoundz.
Can you still play it on your phone?
Sure, absolutely. Yes. And you can have multiple uses, like, so within your home or family, someone may be in one room or leaving, you can play multiple, you have multiple users on one account.
Okay. And if and just to clarify, you can play this in your home on the radio or on the TV?
Well, if it's a smart TV, you can cast to the TV from the app and then leave it your phone and it'll continue to play. Or if it's a smart TV and like our TV have a URL, so you can actually access the internet, you could play it from the internet on your TV. So it's different, again, wherever there's a URL, you can put in zoundzforpets.com and you'll be able to play Zoundz.
And can you play this in the car? I think today's cars have internet, I think. So I'm wondering, can you play it in the car?
Well, yes, because it's just in terms of the usability of the app, it's just like any other streaming music platform that you get in your car and you however you connect, be it Bluetooth or however you would normally connect with any other streaming music application. It's the exact same thing for Zoundz. So it wouldn't be any different. Which the big difference is the content in the app.
That's amazing, because I was picturing a pet's journey, so that they could hear it in their house, and then, okay, Fifi, let's go for a ride, and then you can put it on in the car, and then, oh, we're going to go to the dog park, and now you can play it on your phone while you're walking in the park. Right. So no matter where you and your pet go, there's always music to calm their nerves.
That's exactly right. And so we're working with our veterinarian partners, and that's actually part of it. So if you, as a pet parent, and you know that you're going to the vet and you're now playing Zoundz and they're used to hearing Zoundz in the home, and now we also have a channel called Travel Time, and that channel is specifically for when they're in the car. Excuse me. So now they're in the car, they're hearing Zoundz, and once they get to the veterinarian hospital, if it's one of our partners and Zoundz is being played in the lobby, right, that journey is just Zoundz is following through the entire journey. And then once they get into the actual examination room, Zoundz is still playing. So that's the whole goal with us working with our veterinarian partners, is to be able to help that journey for the pet parent and the pet and the vets and the vet techs full circle.
That's really great.
In reference to that, have you met Marty Becker from Fear Free?
So we've interacted once. I think it was at one of the conferences. We met briefly, but I haven't had any in-depth dialogue with
that's another one I just thought of. I'm actually doing my Fear Free modules right now to be Fear Free certified myself, and the getting your pet ready to go to your veterinary clinic, and they talk about music, and that's why I'm bringing you thinking that's another spot for you too to kind of
we actually recently partnered with Animal Art Studio, they they are architects, so they create the plans and the architecture plans for a lot of shelters and veterinarian hospitals, educational centers, and so they're really starting to incorporate Zoundz, in terms of a tool that can be used in those environments.
Awesome, love it.
That's fantastic. I remember when we were still in Pennsylvania, our veterinarian, he saw all animals. But when you're waiting in the lobby area, it increased my anxiety between all the animals barking or meowing and just all the noise going on. And, now when I moved down here, it was the first time, and I'm not saying it didn't happen in Pennsylvania, but it was the first time I saw separate veterinarian offices for cats, just all cats, and then all dogs. And I was like, wow, now that's nice, because as a cat person myself, I don't have to hear those dogs.
Right.
But have their own anxiety. So, your cat music can play in the veterinarian offices just for cats, and the dogs music can play just for dogs. And it should do wonderfully to keep everyone calm.
Yes, that's the goal. That is definitely the goal.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. Let's see. Have you ever, actually, I do know there's a question coming up, but I was just thinking, have you found interlapping sounds that both like?
Well, for both cats and dogs?
Yeah, what if you got a household, and you got a cat, and I got a dog, and I want to keep
right.
Is there anything? Yeah, that's a good question.
If you're in a household where there's a dog and a cat, we highly recommend just play the dog music.
Okay.
Now we are, in the early stages of working on some things that will allow both the dog and the cat in the same home to be able to hear Zoundz and be able to be affected individually. But we're not there yet, but we're definitely working on that. But until we get there, if there's both in a home, dog and cat, we highly recommend playing Zoundz for dogs.
Okay. So how do you choose the music that works best for reducing the anxiety?
Well, for one, we do not license any existing music. So we actually follow the studies that's been conducted and what they show to be effective. And then then we actually go in and our team of composers produce that music. A lot of it, without getting too deep into the weeds, tempo plays a pretty big role. The tempo of the music, because the tempo actually drives the heartbeat. So that plays a very key role. And as I said earlier, the overall instrumentation, like what instruments are being used, within the song, actually plays a key role as well.
Okay, that's fantastic. Let's see, on that, I wanted to ask you, how long does it take you to do the research before you put out an actual track for the animals?
Well, it depends. We have a lot of shelter partners now. And so there are a few of them who we actually work with to put the music in, and they give us feedback on, is it effective? Is it not effective? And so the process can take anywhere from a month to a month and a half. But we're not doing this every month either, because at the end of the day, it's time consuming. So it's not something that we're doing monthly, but when we do it, we do work with the shelter environment to get feedback on what's working, what's not working. But also, we've been doing this long enough now. We have a rhythm and we know what works. Like, so for instance, we already know that we're not going to put a rock guitar. I love rock music, right? But for common dogs, we know that we're not going to use a rock guitar for their music. We know that we're not going to use a high frequency violin that's screeching. So again, we've been doing this long enough. A lot of stuff we already know from the onset that this is not going to work, which wasn't the case at the very beginning.
I would imagine strings work the best for animals. pianos, violins, maybe even a cello. I would imagine that's more soothing for pets.
Yeah, it can be, but remember, for cats though, not necessarily. Cats, if I had to describe like the music for cats, it's electronica, and they want to be at the rave party. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, cats is like really. It's,
You got some party animals there, Greta. Your cats are party animals.
The cat music is as smooth as the dog music. Yeah, it's you got to be in the mood for the cat music for sure.
Right. Okay.
I do know that when I do practice, and there's been instances where you get a dog in a clinic and they're just barking, you know, back, and they just keep going. I say, and I mention to clients too, get Zoundz, get that, and calm them. I said, do something to calm them down. They need some music, and you know. So I have recommended you to clients and everything.
No, and we appreciate that, but what we also we're trying to educate pet professionals as well as the consumer. Zoundz is not, you know, a tool that you're going to play once and your pet's just going to fall out on the floor and become. It's an ongoing daily pet wellness tool, and the more you play it for them on a daily basis, the better the tool is going to work in the situations when you really need it, such as when you're leaving home for separation anxiety, such as during, you know, fireworks or any sort of disruptive loud noises. You know, the more you use Zoundz and play it for them, the better it's going to work when you need it. When it's all said and done.
I love that. Because that's perfect. You say that, because most likely most people will think that it's a one time and that should do it, but it is. It's something they have to get accustomed to, acclimated to, and then calming features with it. But yeah,
absolutely.
Just like everything else. It's, you know, I think today's world is so used to what's the quick fix, or how can I, you know, quickly calm them down, when it's the same adage for everything. Over time, get the animal used to it, get them comfortable, and then it'll work its best.
That's exactly.
So how can a pet professional use music therapy in their practices to support pet wellness?
Well, we touched on it earlier. I spoke about it, but I definitely don't mind recapping on this. And that is, for Zoundz to be played in the lobby from the moment, you know, the waiting area, from the moment the pet parent and the pet arrives. I mean, think about the examination room. It's just silence. It's cold. So definitely that's an environment where you would want Zoundz playing, be it for a dog or for a cat. But there's so that piece is happening. And so what we're working on now is we're working to educate, you know, pet professionals on the fact that if they're helping to get this in the hands of the pet parents, if the pet parents are using it at home, the dog or the cat, they're used to it. And so now, once they're in the care of the pet professional and they're hearing Zoundz, which is this, you know, this familiar sound, it's going to help all involved. So we got to get that. We got to, you know, for it to really be fully effective, we need to be used in the pet parent's home and in the pet professional environments. That's when it's going to truly be effective.
So
as it relates to the pet professional environment.
What do you think about public places like pet stores, like PetSmart, Petco? Do you think that would be an appropriate place to play it? I've never taken my cat there, so I don't know if dogs get excited or get scared. But going to a mall, would that be a place? Absolutely.
I mean, I think, like, you know, in a PetSmart or Petco or any of those places, for sure, I think you could play it. You know, any environment where you want to have just calm for the pets, I think it's appropriate to play Zoundz. Now, you know, if it was just like a regular mall when I play Zoundz, no, because I just think it's, you know, the music. I got to tell you, like I play Zoundz for myself at night on the dog channels, that it relaxes me. So I'm not sure if you would want to play it like in a regular mall, because you have everyone like just sitting around to take a nap. But definitely, like if it's a you know, pet focused environment, absolutely, 100%, I would recommend playing Zoundz.
Yeah, doggy daycare. Just as you say, in shelter environments, boarding facilities.
Yeah.
But see,
grooming facilities, because that's
absolutely. And we're talking with all of these. We look at them as channels, but we want to what we want to be careful of is not to just start going out there and just saying, okay, the groomers, and just attacking all these different channels without having the right guidance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we always try to look for, okay, who's the expert in this space? We know travel, Dr. Bryant. If I want to know anything about what to do with Zoundz and travel, I'm coming to you, right? So we have that check mark. So and we try to find the Dr. Bryant for all of our channels, because again, I think when you and I first started speaking, I'm like, oh yeah, we put the speaker on the plane, inside the airplane. He was like, no, we'll never get inside an aircraft on a crate. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, as much as some things may seem simple and straightforward, there's a lot of rules and regulations that the experts can share that to help you to realize, like, no, you can't do that. Right. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of channels that we are going to be working with, hopefully. But again, we want to make sure that we are getting the right guidance and direction for each channel. Yeah.
No, I was just mentioning places where I knew where it could be stressful for them, and they definitely needed something to calm them down and everything.
Right. But I love your idea about adding to our environmental sounds channels the actual environmental sounds of an aircraft, like inside the aircraft. I love that idea a lot.
Yep. And I think Gretchen had mentioned that Gretchen Beckert, like I mentioned earlier, she came on, and I think she said on YouTube, you can find just different sounds. You can look up, and there's just different sounds that people have recorded, and you can incorporate those.
Right. And that was our goal. Our goal for creating this environmental sounds channel was, one, to get really high-end sounds. And then for two, have an actual destination, a one-stop shop, so you don't have to go to YouTube or anywhere else and search. You can go right to this one channel, and boom, everything is there. You can hit it, you can press repeat, so it'll keep playing over and over. So that was the whole goal. So we're trying to make it as user-friendly and as easy as possible is our goal. That's the stuff that we're really focused on now in terms of the user interaction and experience.
Perfect.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what should pet professionals know when recommending music therapy?
Well, I think they should know that the more pet owners who are using Zoundz in their home, it's actually going to have a significant impact on their practice, because again, the calmer that pet is when they come in, the easier it's going to be for them to examine the pet. So that trickles down to, hopefully happier vet techs and happier vets. So I think, again, it's really straightforward. If the pet parents are using it at home, they're using it in their veterinarian hospital environment, it's going to just be a seamless journey for that pet. And our hopes and goals, and we are getting some positive feedback on the fact that it's helping. It's actually helping. Now, you're going to have some dogs, some cats, their anxiety is through the ceiling. You can play Zoundz for a year and it's not going to hurt. It's not going to work. So that's just the reality of it. It's not like, it's just magic, magic cure, right? It's not. Right. And even and I know earlier, Greta, you alluded to the fact of, Zoundz being an alternative to meds, but we don't knock meds, because in some cases, some dogs and some cats may need both. They may need meds and Zoundz and whatever else that's out there.
Pheromones or whatever you can do. Yeah.
We don't really try to exclude Zoundz away from meds and all these other products, because again, at the end of the day, our true goal and mission is to really help this anxiety crisis that exists. And I do call it a crisis at this point. It's very real, and the numbers and the data is not going down; it's only going up. So whatever we can all come together to do to help, we want to do it.
Right. You bring that up, and just a thought. What are your thoughts on maybe what's causing all this anxiety? What do you think on that? There's more animals. I mean, the bond is getting stronger.
I think it's us. we're the humans are creating it, and I'll leave
Yes.
it there. I won't go any
Yeah.
further,
Yeah.
but I think that even in our home with Miles, I mean, sometimes like, what are we doing? Like, you know, we're causing the stress, the anxiety.
Yeah.
That's not all of it, but we're playing. I think a pretty significant role.
Right. Definitely.
I think it's that too, because we get caught up in our own world, not realizing that pets and children pick up on our energy. And when we're in the throes of it, we just don't realize it. And, you know, I think that's why it's so important to take dogs on their walks, because it breaks you out of, you know, whatever's stressing you, or it should. That should be the time when you should focus on your dog and have fun with them and be outside and play, not on your phone, because they can still feel that stress. You know, whatever energy you send through the leash, they feel that.
That's right.
So
Yep.
I think it's 100% us.
And Greta, and that's why we have incorporated, these channels, you know, such as joint meditation and like possum stories, because those are also opportunities as a reminder for the pet parent. Hey, this is your time to spend with your dog, with your cat, you know, to give them the attention that they need, because we're so busy as a society, you know, on, you know, social media, but we're all over the place, and they do need that attention. They need that.
Yeah.
They need that bond, and they need that attention for sure.
Yeah. You know, another thought too that will probably relieve some of the anxiety too is the more you do with them sometimes as well. I mean, the fact that, you know, we're with them, but then we have to leave them. We have no choice. We went through a pandemic where we're stuck home and we had them and we were with them. But guess what? Jobs are now making it where you got to go back to work. You got to go, you know, be in the office. So you're going to have separation anxiety with that. But ultimately, if the more you did with them, the more you socialize them, the more you do, almost like if you had a kid. If you don't take your kid anywhere and do anything with them, how do you expect them to behave when they get in public? So you have to take them out and expose them, you know?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I know we can't get out of it.
All
We
right.
need a part two.
Yep. And
Well,
sorry, guys,
I know we can't.
I did mention earlier, I'm sorry, guys. I personally have a hard stop at 2. So if you guys want to keep going, I applaud you, but I got a hard stop at 2. So I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Forgot to tell you.
Well, we can't get out of here without talking about the Harmony Project. So
Yes.
Please tell us about that.
So the Harmony Project, for those who don't know, that's our shelter program, where we provide Zoundz to shelters across the country at no cost, and we help support them with whatever they need in terms of materials. We were donating speakers as well, but that became cost prohibitive, at least for this time, because my wife Jessica, she runs our shelter program. She's the director of the Harmony Project, and you know, we were paying for it out of pocket, so it became a bit much. But we're still supporting shelters across the country. We're really excited. I can't get too much detail, but we are. We just started a pilot program that's going to really help. You know, we're very hopeful that's going to be able to show some very strong data on how Zoundz is making an impact in the shelters. But yeah, I mean that's when it's all said and done, the shelter project for us is the heartbeat of Zoundz. It really is. Just, you know, the videos that we receive, you know, of different pets who, you know, we get videos where, hey, this one dog was just walking in circles, and after playing Zoundz for a week, you know, he stopped walking in circles and would lie down. So just those kind of stories just really keeps us going when it comes down to the Harmony Project. And so we're not stopping here. We're continuing to grow it. It's a lot of work, but it's worth every bit of the work that we're putting into it.
Well, for people who don't know, what exactly do you do with the Harmony Project? So
the Harmony Project, it's us providing Zoundz at no cost, helping to educate the shelters as well on how Zoundz can be an effective tool for them and for the pet parents who are coming in to adopt the pets for the transition from the shelter into the home. And so, you know, our ultimate goal, and we're seeing, we're definitely starting to see results anecdotally, but and that is we want to be able to have Zoundz impact adoption rate and the return rate, because those are the two, you know, key KPIs that really matters. And if we can help to just even slightly reduce those numbers, you know, it'll be great. Well, we don't want to reduce the adoption rate. We want to raise it. We want to reduce the return rate, to clarify.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Bryant and Derrick, do you have any final words that you'd like to share with everyone?
I do. You touched on it earlier, but I encourage whoever's out there who's listening. I'm sure a lot of you are already doing this, but whatever organization that you're affiliated with or you're comfortable with, I encourage everyone to really try to donate to help the shelters and rescues down in North Carolina. I mean, it's really bad. So you know, we're on our end. We're trying to see what all we can do, and I encourage everyone who's able to try to assist in one way or another. It may not be money, whatever it may be, but however you can assist, please do.
I know of a lot of people who are going to give themselves and their time, which is just as important. And if you can do that, please. There's lots of places with lots of animals that are displaced.
Yes.
So, well, I also want to encourage everyone to go to zoundzforpets.com to learn more about the therapeutic sounds and learn more about Derrick, and get it yourself and see the change that it will make in you and your pets' lives. Dr. Bryant, do you have any last words before you'd like to say goodbye?
No, I am really thank you, Derrick, for being here with us and sharing. I'm really excited to hear all the advancements you've made this past probably good year, 2 years with Zoundz. So I'm really happy, and I'll be honest, I haven't been on the site for a little bit, but I'm gonna check it out and see what I can do and incorporate in my household as well. And everything.
Oh, that's great.
And I'm willing, definitely, I want to see if we can work on some of those environmental sounds and increasing those.
I would love that. That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great. And thank you all, as always, for inviting me. It's my second time.
It's your second, but it's your second and a half, because we had you with Beth. So
that's right. Yes.
We love you.
Right.
We love you. Trust me. We're looking forward to next year. Next year, we got to have you back again and hear more.
Oh, listen. You know how all I have to do is receive that email from Greta. I'm in.
Good.
Absolutely, and you'll get it.
All right, I'm counting on that.
Well, Derrick, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing what you do. I think it's wonderful, and probably everybody should be on Zoundz. And I want to wish everyone a great weekend. And I guess until next Friday, we wish everyone a happy and safe week as well. So goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let's see, I pushed end stream.